Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about the Aquafina phase, the Aquafina awkward phase. All right, so we took it in the teeth with Dungeons and Dragons with this Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves was a commercial failure. It was, and if anybody tries to tell you different, they're an ignorant fool. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand finance, movies, logic, or basically Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves made $207 million. It was supposed to be $1 billion film if it was a cent, and it was supposed to be the start. It was supposed to be $1 billion. It was supposed to be the start of the Dungeons and Dragons cinematic universe, and it was supposed to be the start of a trilogy. And if anybody tells you anything different than that, they're lying to your face, in my humble opinion. Or they're either lying flat out, in my humble opinion, or they're ignorant, or they're an ignorant fool. There's plenty of those around. There's liars and ignorant fools around, but that's to me, that's set in stone. Okay, all right. But Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves commercially fails. That prompts some very uncomfortable questions for every serious Dungeons and Dragons fan, right? And the question is why, right? So I think there's lots of reasons. I've given my primary reason already. I'm not going to repeat it here. But I think one of the reasons why is it may be a timing issue, right? So let's talk about Awkwafina. So do you know who Awkwafina is? I love Awkwafina. I think she's a fantastic actress. I think she's super talented, and I love her in everything I've ever seen her in, right? And I've seen her in everything but the sad, like that movie about our grandparents dying. I don't know. I'm not watching that. Hey, you want to watch this movie about my grandparents dying? No. No. The Farewell, right? So I've seen everything she's done except the Farewell, right? And I did watch that show she had, something about Queens, New York, and I dipped out on that. I watched a couple episodes, but her movies, I love them. So one, I really liked her in. And I can't, you know what? I'm starting to think, I didn't see all her stuff. I dipped out on a few different things, but I've seen the majority of her material, right? So this is stuff that she did that I really liked. Ocean's 8. She was amazing in that. She was really, really good in that. Shang-Chi. Fantastic. Could not have been better cast in that, in my humble opinion. Everything she did in the Jumanji films. Fantastic. I think she was just in 2, right? And then she's done a lot of great voice work. By the way, I did not see The Little Mermaid, the live-action Little Mermaid that she's in, so I did not see that. But that is part of why we're talking about Awkwafina right now, right? And she did a few more. She's tremendous. She's really, really good, really talented. I love her in everything she's in, and I'm a really big fan of Awkwafina. Renfield. I saw Renfield. Renfield, dope, man. There was something a little off in that movie with her. Like, she was not her normal self. The way they dressed her, she looked different. Almost like, she's a celebrity. I could say this. I'll just go say it. I think maybe she was pregnant during that movie. Just the way they shot her. I could be wrong. I don't know. Something looked off, right? I don't know, right? So just my 2 cents, right? And that's a thing. I think Pam from The Office, she was pregnant during a couple seasons, and they just shot her from the neck up, So it is definitely a thing, right? So I love her material. And by the way, I thought she was great in Renfield. I did think the way she looked visually in Renfield was a little off. Almost like, I don't know. It was just something. Hollywood is really good at making people look great. And they just didn't do their job in that movie. Usually Awkwafina looks fantastic, but something looked off. I'm sorry to keep going on about that, but I really liked her in Renfield, and I was really excited that she got her own movie, but her stylist or somebody failed her in that film. I don't know who it was. The person who dresses, I guess the stylist would. Who's the person who dresses you, right? Because you got hair, makeup. Whoever dressed her in that movie did not do a good job. She looked. I don't know. Just my take. Sorry to go on about that. All right, I love Awkwafina. Here, are you guys aware? The Awkwafina awkward phase is here. Grace was talking about this, and she said she was walking out of the movie, and people were like, I'm done seeing Awkwafina. And also, a good friend of mine saw Little Mermaid and said, no, bet to the no. Her vocals on Scuttlebutt, she did a terrible job with that. And people are like, I'm just over Awkwafina, right? Now, what happened, right? Like, Awkwafina didn't change. Awkwafina's the same Awkwafina that she always was. And you're like, well, Scott, that's the problem. She should have range. She should be able to do whatever she wants. No, shut that noise. What do you think Tom Holland is? What do you think Tom Hanks is? Neither one of them got any range. They're the same person every stinking movie, right? Awkwafina, John Malkovich, right? Like, there's a million actors. Harrison Ford, frankly. Harrison Ford. When does he not, like, oh, I'm a grumpy old dude who's silent most of the time, right? Like, you know, and even, like, his latest run on Harrison Ford, on Han Solo. I'm a grumpy old dude. Can you put a lightsaber through me, please? You know, like, he does not have range, right? He's a great actor, and that's my point. You don't need range to be a great actor. And so Awkwafina, I think she's a fantastic, great actress, but we are in the Awkwafina awkward phase, and people are like, I'm out on Awkwafina, right? Wah, wee, woo, wah. Here we go. Catch it. Are we in the Awkwafina awkward phase right now in Dungeons & Dragons, right? So, did people not like Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves? Because just like we're in the, like, people are like, Dungeons & Dragons, nah, man, we ain't feeling it right now, right? And that might be part of the problem. It's just like, Awkwafina didn't do anything wrong. People just got sick of her, right? It might be the same with Dungeons & Dragons. And you're like, Scott, why would people get sick of Dungeons & Dragons? It's in everything, man. It's in Magic the Gathering. It's in Creo. It's in Legos. It's in Funko Pop. It's in, it's in Magic the Gathering. It's all over. There's Dungeons & Dragons baloney. Like, it might be overexposed, right? So that's the point, is, like, it's possible Dungeons & Dragons didn't do anything wrong with the movie. We're just in the Awkwafina awkward phase, right? And get this, right? That it's okay to be in this phase. John Travolta hit it, right? Oh, everybody's like, oh, John Travolta, and his comeback was Pulp Fiction, right? Awkwafina might just have 2-3 years where she's not working or she's doing scrub films, but then she might hit it big in something else, right? So that's the point. And here's my point. Awkwafina ain't going nowhere, right? She's going to keep making movies. She got a career, right? But she might be in the downturn, right? She might be in a downturn where she's just not hitting on all cylinders, and people just had enough of her, right? And I think we may be right there with Dungeons & Dragons right now, where Dungeons & Dragons is in its Awkwafina awkward phase, and Dungeons & Dragons hasn't done a thing. It's just, like, overexposed, right? And so people need a chance to miss it, right? So I got a buddy who really, really harsh. He's going through a divorce, right? And trying to give him advice on how to get his life back together. You know, I've been married 30 years. I know a thing or two about keeping a marriage together. And actually, he's got about 5% chance, I think, that it's not going to end in divorce. But when we started talking, like, there was a situation where I was like, okay, let's talk through what you do during a regular day. Well, he works at home, right? Him and his wife have one car, and there's no good reason for that. They're just frugal. They could have had 2 cars. He makes more money than me, and I got 3 cars, right? And so basically, and then he was like, oh, and I was like, what's your hobby? And he's like, I do a bunch of home projects. I'm like, you never gave your wife a chance to miss you, man. You're always up in her face, right? So that's the issue, is, like, legit, Dungeons & Dragons up in Yahtzee, Dungeons & Dragons up in Creo, Dungeons & Dragons up in Lego, Dungeons & Dragons up in Funko Pop, Dungeons & Dragons up in Magic the Gathering. It is everywhere all the time, and it's not really giving people a chance to miss it. So it could be just overexposed. So that is my humble opinion. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.